Man, Ann Arbor just keeps getting ranked one of the best places to live, best places to raise a family, and a ton of other accolades. So there's got to be some cons about living in Ann Arbor, am I right?
You got that right.
You bet there is. And in this video, I'm going to be covering the top pros and cons of living in Ann Arbor 2023 edition. So make sure you stick around because we're getting after the good, the bad, and the ugly right here in Ann Arbor. Now, Ann Arbor is an area that gets a lot of attention from people looking to move here. And that is because of the job market. The job market here in Ann Arbor is pretty much made up of healthcare, education, and automotive. There's some tech companies sprinkled in there as well.
Are you offering me a job?
Well, yeah. But those are the major job markets. And the University of Michigan, coming in with the healthcare system and the education system, really employs about 10% of the workforce here in Ann Arbor. So if you are considering making a move here for a job at the university or any of the automotive or tech companies here in town, just know you are not alone. These are the exact phone calls I'm taking every single day from people just like you, and I absolutely love it, so keep them coming. All right, so let's dive straight into it, guys. Coming in at con number 5 is the public transportation. Now, the public transportation is really just going to consist of your bus system. We don't have a rail system like New York or Chicago. The city's not that big, but really your public transportation system doesn't account for people that are living outside of Ann Arbor or the Ypsilanti area. And those are the two areas that are connected in that public transportation, which is the ride. So if you're living on the outskirts of those two areas, you really need to drive in to either one of those ride sharing parking lots, hop on the bus, and then head downtown, or you can do some carpooling or van pooling. But I would say, public transportation, from the surrounding area, that's where you get the con, right? In the city, I think it's actually quite good, but some of the surrounding cities, and you're going to understand why a lot of people live in the surrounding areas commuting into work, we might need some increase in the public transportation. Okay, so pro number 5 is the University of Michigan athletics. Now, I don't expect everybody to be a diehard U of M fan, but you got to admit, living in Ann Arbor and having some of the best college sports programs right in your backyard is pretty cool. I mean, just imagine going to football games, hockey games, basketball games on the weekend. That could be on your agenda, but just don't go running around saying anything about Ohio State.
Don't even say the name, all right?
And by the way, if you're meeting here for the first time, my name's Meldrum. I make videos that are all things Michigan. My team, True Living Group, is the #1 relocation specialist here in Ann Arbor. So if you are thinking about making a move, give us a shout. All my contact information is down below. All right, so con number 4 is the property taxes here in Ann Arbor. So if you've been looking to buy a home here in Ann Arbor, you might have noticed by now that property taxes are slightly higher than some of the surrounding areas. And that's definitely true. So on average, you're going to be paying right around 2.4% of the home's value in property taxes. So put that into perspective. If you were buying a home right around the median price range, which is just over $500,000, but let's just call it $500,000, you'd be paying right around $12,000 a year in property taxes. Now, there are some areas in Ann Arbor that those property taxes might be a little bit higher or might be a little bit less depending on if you're in a township or not. All right, so pro number 4 is the bikeability and walkability around Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor has definitely invested heavily into making sure that the city is bikeable and walkable by putting bike lanes on pretty much every major road, and the city's walkable from end to end.
Even how far we are from anywheres? Hey man, back in the old days with JC, we used to walk everywhere.
All right, up next, which is con number 3, is the traffic. Now, the good news is that overall traffic in Ann Arbor flows pretty steadily during the day, but there are some peak hours when traffic is going to be at its worst, and I'm sure you can probably guess exactly when those times are. In the morning and after work. Now, the other major traffic days that you need to be aware of are during football season. This happens 8 days a year, right? So you can't complain that much. 8 days out of the year, you are going to be slammed with people coming into the city, trying to get a parking spot at one of the tailgate locations, or just coming in to watch the game. But if you're making plans on a Saturday during a football season to have some guests come over, I would check the calendar just to make sure that's not game day, because it's going to be pretty horrendous when your guests show up 3 hours late to your party.
Too late. You're too late.
And just to be safe, if you don't want to get stuck in traffic on game day, stay clear of the south side of Ann Arbor. All right, and pro number 3 is the school system here in Ann Arbor. They are consistently ranked some of the top schools here in the U.S. and especially in Michigan. So Ann Arbor schools do have open enrollment, which means you can live in a neighboring city and you can send your kids to Ann Arbor school systems. You just got to register them. There is a wait list though, and that wait list can be pretty long. So I usually recommend to clients who are looking to move into the area that do want to send their kids to public school systems in Ann Arbor is actually land in the district. Then just make sure you do it early at a young enough age. You might miss a few grades, but I think eventually you could get in. All right, so con number 2 is the housing shortage here in Ann Arbor. The lack of affordable homes and apartments here in Ann Arbor have been a struggle for a long time. This forces a lot of people who work in Ann Arbor to live in the surrounding areas, but because of the housing shortage in Ann Arbor, the surrounding areas are starting to get gobbled up as people look for housing, apartments, houses, condos. Those people are starting to gobble those up as well. So those areas are now facing what I like to call the Ann Arbor effect. It's pushing out in rings, and areas like Saline, Dexter, South Lyon, Ypsilanti, Canton, Plymouth, all these areas which are super close to Ann Arbor where people live and want to commute into are starting to see that as well. So, I don't know what the solution is, but the city has approved a lot of developments, for more housing, specifically apartments. I've seen a lot more apartment complexes go up in the downtown area over near the hospital systems. And I think the goal there is to have more people living in the city, working professionals. But I think a lot of people would agree that the price of rent is not affordable down there at $2,500 to $5,000 a month for some of those apartments. All right, so pro number 2 is the outdoor activities here in Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is recognized as an urban oasis of opportunities for people to get outdoors and just enjoy nature. We have 162 parks here in Ann Arbor.
What did he say?
Yes, I said that correctly, 162 parks. Or you could kayak or canoe down the Huron River, or you could do cross-country skiing on some of the hilly terrain in the wintertime. And if you're just looking to get out and enjoy one of the beautiful parks, I'd highly recommend going to the Nichols Arboretums or the Botanical Gardens. All right, and coming in at con number 1 is the cost of living here in Ann Arbor, and I'm talking about the housing prices specifically. Now, because of the housing shortage, it has driven home prices up every single year, and as of shooting this video here in 2023, the average home price now sits at $530,000. So compare that to the rest of the United States, where the average home costs $416,000. So a number of nonprofits that I've seen here locally have actually started bringing awareness to this, and they're throwing what's called a house party. Kind of cool, right? House party to talk about the housing crisis that's going on in Ann Arbor and the affordability issue. So one of the things that I saw on the agenda, this is a week-long house party where it's actually partnered with the city planning commissioners, local government. Now, one of the things that I thought was super interesting out of this was ADUs were on the proposal. And ADUs have been very popular in cities out in California where affordability has already struck them. Things are in the millions out there and not too many people can afford it. So what an accessory dwelling unit is basically, if you have a house and you have a backyard or a garage in your backyard and you want to convert that garage to another living space and rent it out, then you can do that, right? That's called an accessory dwelling unit on your premise.
We're gonna be rich!
Now, Ann Arbor has certain regulations that say that your primary residence can only be the place where you have an accessory dwelling unit and you can rent that out. So you can't go buy a property, convert the house into a rental, and put an accessory dwelling unit on. So that's how they're getting, around the investors who would gobble these properties up and just rent them out. So I think it's a good thing, but it'd be interesting to see how that changes over time. So if you're somebody looking to move in and you want to put an accessory dwelling unit on your property, let me know. We got contractors and people that can help convert those.
Eric, I love you.
All right, and pro number 1 about living in Ann Arbor is definitely the vibe. It's something you can really only summarize by experiencing it firsthand, but I'm going to try anyways. Think of a place where you have so many different nationalities, a culture surrounded by art, music, and a prestigious university, and innovation happening at pretty much every corner of the city. And in addition to all of that, you layer on great restaurants, an amazing nightlife, and an incredible landscape filled with outdoor activities galore. Well, that, my friends, is the vibe here in Ann Arbor, and why it's consistently ranked one of the best places to live in the U.S. All right, you guys, so there you have it, the top pros and cons of living in Ann Arbor, Michigan, 2023 edition. I've done this for 2021, 2022, and 2023, and I'm going to continue making them every single year because every single year something changes about Ann Arbor, and I've tweaked the rankings. If you go back and watch some of the old videos, you'll notice some of these things are changing the ranks. So if you have something that you think should be added or taken away, drop those in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're a local and you think any of this information was spot on, drop a heart, drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you as well. But if you are thinking about moving here to Ann Arbor and you do have questions, definitely get a hold of us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or my favorite, schedule a Zoom call so we can meet face to face. I can take you through the city in my eyes and help match you up with the ideal lifestyle. So if you need more information, go check out all the other videos on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and tap that little bell so you're the first to learn about the current market every time we put out a new video just like this. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.